Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Haley. I make content all about everyday life with mitochondrial disease and my other chronic illnesses, so if you enjoy that type of content, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing how I got a central line infection from vacation. And this was pretty recent. It happened in July, and I just want to say I'm good now. I no longer have the infection. It's completely cleared, and thankfully nothing super bad happened, but I want to share my experience. But I'm just gonna head into the video now. Alright, so my family went on a 2-week vacation. We rented an RV and we went to Yellowstone, we went to Glacier National Park in Montana, and then we also saw the Grand Tetons. And the RV we rented kept breaking. So for the entire trip, one of the things, there's gardeners outside my window. So if you hear them, I'm sorry. But as I was saying, one of the things that was broken the entire 2 weeks was the refrigerator in the RV. We don't know why. It was completely broken. We tried everything and it was just totally not working. So keep that in mind. And so, you know, we get home on like Sunday, July 18th, unpack the RV. We're all exhausted. I'm exhausted, and I just kind of lay down, and later that night we all went to bed. And then around like 12:30ish in the morning, I woke up with really bad shivers to the point where it was shaking my whole body. And the last time I felt shivers and shakes like that was when I had sepsis last April. And so at first I thought I was just, for whatever reason, having a really bad anxiety attack. Sometimes with a change of like things in life, like I got used to the RV in 2 weeks, and then we came back home, and weird things trigger my anxiety sometimes. So I was like, this is weird, but it's probably just anxiety. So for like 20 minutes, I just like tried to like calm myself down because I thought it was anxiety. And finally I couldn't, and at that point I was like sobbing, and so I called my mom in the middle of the night. And so she comes down, and at first she didn't realize I had a fever, which was the source of the shivers and shakes. So she was like, Haley, it's okay, like literally calm down. But then she turned on the light and saw my face, and she has like this weird mom superpower where if something's wrong with one of her kids, or if one of her kids has a fever, she knows immediately without taking their temperature. So we took my temperature, and it ended up being like either 100 or 101 or something. And so I took some ibuprofen, and then I just went back to bed. There was nothing we were gonna do at 12:30 in the morning, and so I went back to sleep, hoping I would just sleep it off. And I woke up that morning and I still had a fever, and it did not go down at all. And then I had another bout or two, maybe like 1 or 2 more bouts of the shivers and shakes. And I was just sleeping on and off and just not doing good or feeling good. And so my mom's like, let's go to the hospital. And my dad came home from work, picked me up, and then we headed to the ER. And at first I thought I was coming down with something because my brother, I don't know if he had like a weird reaction to a bug bite or what it was, but he had all the symptoms of a cold. Like, it wasn't like, we knew it wasn't COVID or anything, but I thought I was coming down with that maybe because one of the things he experienced was like a fever for like a day or two, and I was like, maybe I'm just coming down with it. To this day I didn't. Like, the source of my fever was the infection, and no one else in our family got sick, so we still don't know what was up with him. But I thought I was coming down with something, but I knew even if that was true, I still needed to go get checked out at the hospital, and just at least for the peace of mind, to make sure I didn't have an infection. So we get there, and for whatever reason, like, I didn't really have a very consistent fever there. Like, I really didn't have one at all when I was in the ER. And they monitored me, and thankfully I had a competent doctor he knew what he was doing and he was not just going to try to send me home, because that's what a doctor tried to do last year, tried to send me home with sepsis. So she called to my doctors who work at that hospital, and she was like, what do you guys want to do? And they said, start her on broad spectrum antibiotics while we wait for the blood culture, just to be safe. And so they did that, and they did a culture and to see if any bacteria would grow from my central line. Ignore my red leggings, I know it doesn't match. And so they ended up saying they were going to just admit me overnight for observation. Well, not really observation, just really to see if any bacteria grows, just to be safe. And so I was like, okay. And I really, like deep down, I knew I had an infection, but I really didn't. But on the surface, I didn't think I had one. We came prepared anyways, like we always do when we go to the ER though. And sure enough, at 17 hours, so it took 17 hours for bacteria to grow from my central line. They just like pull out blood and then they just watch it in the lab. So they said you definitely have an infection, but what they said is you actually have a gram-negative bacteria. We don't know what specific one it is yet, but like, for example, one of the common bacteria in the gram-negative bacteria group is like, what is it? E. coli. And I was like, weird. And I was like, just watch it. Like I told my parents, I'm like, just watch it be some really weird, random, like rare bacteria. And then the next morning, they're like, okay, so infectious disease figured out what bacteria it is. So the bacteria I will put on the screen is called Rhodella aquatilis. It is so uncommon, it is so not common to find in patients that most of my doctors had never heard of it before and had to search it. If you search it online, there's very few bits of literature about it. And it's something that's not commonly found in humans, really, at all. And if I'm not mistaken, both of my parents are older than the discovery of this bacteria. So, yeah. So I was like, okay, I was just joking about the rare bacteria. But, yeah, that was weird. We still don't know exactly what caused the infection, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you our theories right after this part. So they narrowed down the bacteria, started me on the right antibiotics, and I forgot to mention, I also had a headache this whole time. And then the headache kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every day. They were literally like, we don't know what's wrong with you. They eliminated all of the serious stuff. There was no way I was having a brain bleed. No way there was something weird going on with my brain. Neurology came and did a full consult and evaluation. And they tried a cocktail of meds for migraines, and it just was not helping. And I have a high pain tolerance, so it takes me a while to say if I'm in pain. And this migraine pain was so bad. It was like a 9 out of 10, and it hurt so bad. It was like, it would go from my forehead to the top of my head to the back of my head, or all at once. It would feel like it was about to explode, and it was the most painful thing ever. Ibuprofen wasn't helping, and I didn't want to have any serious pain medication. And like I said, the cocktail of meds didn't work that they tried. And I was just like, I was cleared to go home that Friday. I was admitted Sunday and was cleared to go home Friday, but I still had that migraine that we didn't know what the problem was. And I was not comfortable going home because I didn't want to have to return. So we were trying to get to the bottom of it, and then my doctor was actually on vacation, and he got back to me when I emailed him about it. And so he suggested a certain medication drip that would be over 24 hours, and thankfully that worked. So I was in the hospital a total of like 2 extra days, but honestly, I'm just glad we were able to like get the migraine gone because it was so bad. And when I tell you there was so much relief, there was so much relief, and it was like so satisfying, and I wasn't in pain. Sorry, my mom interrupted me, but as I was saying, it was such a relief to just get rid of that migraine, headache, whatever it was. And so then I went home that Sunday, so I was in the hospital like a total of a week exactly. So yeah, but back to where we think I got the bacteria. So because the refrigerator was broken the entire trip, we couldn't put anything in it, and anything that needed to be refrigerated was put in ice chests, and we would get ice every day. And I am on well, I'm on TPN, and it's just like supplemental nutrition, so I get, it's a long story, but basically it's nutrition I get through my central line, and it helps me maintain my health and stability. And so I'm on that 12 hours every night, and then I also am on maintenance fluids, and on the trip I was on them every day just to keep my energy up and stay hydrated. Alright, so I got my IV bag from yesterday that I used. So I want to just say my TPN needs to be refrigerated, and my IV fluids need to be refrigerated too to stay good. So this white thing that is shoved in here is called a spike. TPN bags come without this, so you have to manually insert it. IV fluids, on the other hand, already come with it spiked. So all of my IV stuff, like my TPN and fluids, were in ice chests, and we were getting like ice from different places every day. But what happens with ice? It melts, and so there ended up being water at the bottom of the ice chest. And the bacteria that I got, which is Rhodella aquatilis, is commonly found in soil, beetles, and water. So what we think happened is that the TPN bags weren't the problem because they weren't spiked, but because my IV fluids were spiked, there was an opportunity for a tiny minuscule piece of bacteria just to get wedged somewhere in there, just enough to where it would go through my line and pump throughout my body and bloodstream. So we think that's the source of the infection. We won't ever know for sure, but it is a very uncommon bacteria that really no one knew about. And I forgot to mention, throughout this whole time, I had really low blood pressure, like lower than my normal, which scared the doctors. Didn't really scare me because it's been worse before. So thankfully my blood pressure is back up to normal, no more fevers, and then I went home on antibiotics to finish out the course. Oh, I forgot to say, I got to keep my central line, so I didn't have to get it removed. It did not progress into sepsis, thankfully, and I am so incredibly grateful it didn't. And I really think it's because we caught it so early and went in straight away. Because last year I waited 2 days, and this time I only waited hours. So if you have a central line and you have a fever, even if you have other symptoms and think you're sick, go into the hospital anyways, just to make sure, because it's a matter between life and death. Literally, I'm not being dramatic, and that's the advice I would say to you. Also, we know now not to put spiked IV bags in ice chests, to just put them in refrigerators. We know now, we've learned. No one could have foreseen this coming. I'm just thankful it happened when I was already home and not on vacation. So thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video so more people can see it. Subscribe down below, and I will see you on my next one. Bye guys.